What I'm going to talk about is what it is like to be a family and what it's like to be a child in the digital age. And my research for 30 years has really been on through lines in the culture, things in the culture that undermine academically talented kids. Actually, what really brought me to the research, which I'm happy to share with you, is my experience as a parent. So my children are older. And in 1998, when Windows 98 was launched, it changed my life horribly as a parent. It changed our family life horribly. This thing comes into our house called Windows 98, and suddenly I am living with a different 13-year-old boy. Getting him to come down to dinner was impossible. He would dysregulate in ways I hadn't seen since he was about 4. And I'm trained both as a developmental psychologist and a clinical psychologist, and I was really worried, like something is going on between his brain and that thing, and I don't like it. And then I'd alternate and say, oh, it's so cool, he's so good at this is amazing, this is a frontier. So it was for me back and forth and back and forth. And I was right, something was going on with his brain, but there was no research back then. And there is tons of research now. And it's very hard to listen to because it's very serious. And we're so in love with this stuff and we're so hooked on it. Now you are raising the first generation of kids who have the option of talking or texting. And right now, at least 50% of kids say they prefer texting. So your kids are all smart. For them to be successful and live into their unbelievable potential, social emotional intelligence is the single most important overarching tool. Texting eliminates 2 of the most important things we learn about relating. Reading the impact of your words on the other person, how what you say makes them feel, and listening deeply. And then responding and showing in your response that you're moved by what the other person says. So families are the language lab, if you will, for this kind of social emotional learning, as is their conversations here at school all day long with each other. When you text a child, ILY, when you send emoticons, they lose their potency. The kids do not hear it in the same way that they hear your voice telling them that you love them. So it's very important to make sure that you are making the connections with the people you love the most. So imagine it's morning and you're home and you're just scrambling eggs and your child comes to you and says, come on, we gotta go, we're gonna be late for school. Think about your tone of voice. Now think about your tone of voice if you're texting somebody and it's important. Can you hear a difference as you think about that? Anybody want to say what you hear when you think about your 2 tones of voice? Do you hear a difference? You're edgier? Hold on, wait. No, we're not. Just hold on. Let me finish this. Right. But no, we're not going to be late for school, honey. It's okay. The first thing that goes when we text actually is empathy. The next thing that goes, and your kids had all sorts of interesting techniques for dealing with this one, is your auditory hearing, your capacity to hear. So they talked about how for some of you, they will do this in front of you to get you to pay attention because they've already said, Dad, 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 3 times. And we take it personally, but it's also important to understand this is how our brains interact with technology. The other thing that happens, and this is really hard on little kids as well as kids of all ages, is that we lose what's called ambient awareness. We lose track of where we are in space and who we are with. Texting and talking is really challenging. And you are raising the first generation of kids who can text. And one of the things we also see in this generation of kids is that the more they text, we see declines in some of their conversational capabilities, empathy, and sometimes ability to read social cues. Now, it's one thing for us as grown-ups to make jokes about being addicted to these devices or to laugh at ourselves. But it's a very different thing when you give your 3- and 4-year-old or an infant a smartphone throughout the day. If we look at the research coming out of Asia, where there are over 300 therapy programs for 5 to 18-year-olds who are addicted to technology, we can learn a lot. Because what children are not learning, and what you constantly need to be teaching your kids when there's a long line, when there's a boring car ride, when they have to wait their turn, is how to self-soothe, how to calm themselves down. So Candy Crush will distract them, but it doesn't teach them how to calm themselves down. And we were talking with the teachers today about how we see across the board in this generation of kids, for kids who use technology a lot, not for educational reasons, but for recreational reasons, they're not as good at calming themselves down. They have less patience. They interrupt their teachers more. They quit more easily. They want the teacher to get them to the next level because they're used to hitting reset. They do not have the same kind of inner capacity to do what we call deep play, because they're so used to the game getting them to the next level and being externally dependent on a device that they're not falling in love enough with their own little creativity. The best example of this is playing dress up. Dress up on an iPad versus dress up in real life. Dress up on an iPad is this. Click. Red stiletto, purple stiletto. Click. Matching sneakers or beret. Click, 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 click. That is not dress up. Dress up is one of the best games for all of you here who have little kids. It's one of the best games for developing the sensorium, the whole platform for learning. You have to your 6 years old to do this. You can't go back and play catch up. Kinesthetically, it's fabulous. You balance, it's great, right? You're walking around in high heels and boots, things that don't hit you. Fine motor, you're buttoning things, right? Most of all, you are in your own imagination discovering you can keep making up stories. You can keep getting stuck at a quiet place, pick up something new, a boa, I don't care what it is, something, and you go into a next iteration. And when kids play dress up, not online, they talk out loud. They tell the story. And when they're playing with other people, they're co-creating. It's the basis of all the wonderful project-based learning they're doing here, And they are not clicking on stilettos, consuming these horrible gender rigid stereotypes for boys and girls, but they're in their own imagination. So we see what happens when we let the magic of the iPad delete the magic of the playground. The last thing I'll say is that technology is amazing. It's so powerful, it's so creative, it's so exciting, it's so challenging. It will answer all your kids' questions. It will not answer your kids' questions with your values. So when you have little kids, and middle schoolers especially, and they come in and they're doing homework, and they ask you for help, and you say, hold on, wait, honey, hold on. They usually will give you 2 chances. They'll go out, they'll come back, they'll go out, and they'll come back. Like little Mateo was doing vocabulary homework. He loves language. He and his dad play words with friends, great. And that day on the playground, he had made a note to himself, I'm going to ask Dad this other word, because he was faking it. He wasn't sure he knew the word, right? You got to love an 11-year-old boy who wants to ask his father the full etymological roots of a word. He goes in, Mateo, hold on, honey, just give me 10 more minutes. Comes in, goes out, twice, gave up, did what any kid would do. What did he do? He Google searched the word, right? Unfortunately for him that night, the word that he was asking his dad was pornography. And he got stuck in a YouTube video that was one of these really gory, sadistic things. But the point is that was a hard way for his parents to learn about filters. That's a hard way for them to learn how to self-regulate. And when a child comes in, that's what's so hard. You never know what the question is. Is it something completely mundane, or is it a question that technology will answer without knowing the age of your child, without knowing how to answer it with your values? And technology does not love your children. Tech is a tool. It's a wonderful tool. It's a powerful tool. It can be used in amazingly beautiful ways. It can be used in very dangerous ways. The most important thing is that we not let any new app or our own distractingness delete age-old truths that I don't think have changed, even though the world is changing faster than we can imagine. And that's that children thrive in schools like this, where the teachers work so hard to connect to your kids, and in families like yours too, where the parents do the hard work of protecting the quality of time and family connection it takes to really stay connected to our children in real life. Thank you.